I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume, so I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. And we are returning now to the Acts of the Apostles. Paul has been in prison in Caesarea for about 2 years now. During this time he has written his letter to the Colossians, to the Laodiceans, and to Philemon, sending Onesimus back to his master. He is in prison because the Jews have conspired to kill him, and the only way to save his life was the chief captain in the Jerusalem garrison sent him to Caesarea to Felix, who is the governor over the area. And Felix has kept him here in Caesarea until he can sort out the whole thing. And that's where we are. He's had a couple of interviews with Felix and his wife Drusilla, and they are moved by the Christian doctrine, but they are not converted. So now we are going to continue the story of Paul. In this video, we have a Joseph Smith translation. Now, what the Joseph Smith translation is, this is a translation or correction done by Joseph Smith to restore those passages that have been lost or corrupted over the years. Acts chapter 25. Now when Festus was come into the province after 3 days, he ascended from Caesarea to Jerusalem. Then the high priest and the chief of the Jews informed him against Paul and besought him, and desired favor against him, that he would send for him to Jerusalem, laying wait in the way to kill him. But Festus answered that Paul should be kept at Caesarea, and that he himself would depart shortly thither. Let them therefore, said he, which among you are able, go down with me, and accuse this man, if there be any wickedness in him. And when he had tarried among them more than 10 days, he went down unto Caesarea, and the next day, sitting on the judgment seat, commanded Paul to be brought. And when he was come, the Jews which came down from Jerusalem stood round about, and laid many and grievous complaints against Paul, which they could not prove. While he answered for himself, neither against the law of the Jews, neither against the temple, nor yet against Cæsar have I offended anything at all. But Festus, willing to do the Jews a pleasure, answered Paul and said, Wilt thou go up to Jerusalem, and there be judged of these things before me? Then said Paul, I stand at Caesar's judgment seat, where I ought to be judged. To the Jews have I done no wrong, as thou very well but knowest. For if I be an offender, or have committed anything worthy of death, I refuse not to die. But if there be none of these things whereof these accuse me, no man may deliver me unto them. I appeal unto Cæsar. Then Festus, when he had conferred with the council, answered, Hast thou appealed unto Cæsar? Unto Cæsar shalt thou go. And after certain days King Agrippa and Bernice came unto Caesarea to salute Festus. And when they had been there many days, Festus declared Paul's cause unto the king, saying, There is a certain man left in bonds by Felix, about whom when I was at Jerusalem the chief priests and the elders of the Jews informed me, desiring to have judgment against him. To whom I answered, It is not the manner of the Romans to deliver any man to die, before that he which is accused have the accusers face to face, and have license to answer for himself concerning the crime laid against him. Therefore, when they were come hither, without any delay, on the morrow I sat on the judgment seat, and commanded the man to be brought forth, against whom, when the accusers stood up, they brought none accusation of such things as I supposed, but had certain questions against him of their own superstition, and of one Jesus, which was dead, whom Paul affirmed to be alive. And because I doubted of such manner of questions, I asked him whether he would go to Jerusalem, and there be judged of these matters. But when Paul had appealed to be reserved unto the hearing of Augustus, I commanded him to be kept till I might send him to Cæsar. Then Agrippa said unto Festus, I would also hear the man myself. Tomorrow, said he, thou shalt hear him. And on the morrow, when Agrippa was come, and Bernice with great pomp, and was entered into the place of hearing, with the chief captains and principal men of the city, at Festus's commandment Paul was brought forth. And Festus said, King Agrippa, and all men which are here present with us, ye see this man, about whom all the multitude of the Jews have dealt with me, both at Jerusalem and also here, crying that he ought not to live any longer. But when I found that he had committed nothing worthy of death, and that he himself hath appealed to Augustus, I have determined to send him, of whom I have no certain thing to write unto my Lord. Wherefore I have brought him forth before you, and especially before thee, O King Agrippa, that, after examination had, I might have somewhat to write. For it seemeth to me unreasonable to send a prisoner, and not withal to signify the crimes laid against him. Having done a little research, and not getting into too much detail here in this video, Felix was not a governor per se. He was a governor, but his official title would have been procurator, which normally would be a financial officer. Not under the governor, but the governor would have been over the military and the judicial and the legal stuff. The procurator would have been over the finances, collecting taxes, making sure the military gets paid. They were equal in authority and both answered directly to the emperor. So the governor could not order the procurator around, and the procurator could not order the governor around. They were equal. In smaller provinces, occasionally, the procurator would be made governor as well. And that's what we see here with Felix. He's a procurator. Wow, I cannot pronounce that word today. So that's how the procurator is a civilian governor of a small province. Now, Felix was the procurator. He heard the words of Paul a couple of times, kept him in prison, always hoping for a bribe. Eventually, he is relieved of duty, and the new procurator comes in, which is Festus. And Festus becomes the new procurator, and when he does, the Jews come to him saying, hey, Felix has been holding this guy Paul in prison in Caesarea. Bring him back to Jerusalem so that we can have a proper trial. Of course, they're planning on killing him in the way. We still have this conspiracy to kill Paul. And Festus says, no, but until I can figure out what's going on here, we're going to leave him in Caesarea, and I'll go back there, and I'll try the case there. So he goes back there to try the case. And he can find they keep making accusations against him, can't prove anything. The only things they can prove is points of doctrine. They keep questioning him about the Christian doctrine, and Festus, what's all this? There's no crime here. But when he asks Paul to go back to Jerusalem to be tried, Paul knows that they're waiting to kill him. And so he has to appeal to Caesar in order to save his life. Rather than go back to Jerusalem, he appeals to Caesar. As a Roman citizen, he has the right, in any criminal case, all citizens have the right to appeal to Caesar. And so that's what he does, because he doesn't want to risk going back to Jerusalem. While they're getting ready to send him off, Agrippa and Bernice come to visit. And they hear about Paul and say, well, we want to hear him too. Now Agrippa, this is Agrippa II. He is the son of Agrippa I and grandson of Herod the Great. His actual name is Herod Agrippa. His father was Herod Agrippa I. He's Herod Agrippa II, grandson of Herod the Great. Bernice is not his wife. She is his sister. What is also true is that Felix, his wife, Drusilla, was also their sister. So Felix was married into the royal family of Herod. So we have this, they set up, this isn't a trial, this is a hearing where they're going to hear Paul and see what they can do. Now, Festus, I like what Festus is saying here. Say, I've got this guy that the Jews have been screaming at me to kill, but I can't find anything worthy of death in him. But he appealed to Caesar, so I got to send him to Caesar, but I don't know what crime to accuse him of. When I send him to Caesar, I got to have something in writing that says what he is accused of, what his crime is. I've got nothing to write. I can't send him to Caesar with blank papers and say, hey, Caesar, this guy's coming for an appeal, but we have nothing to accuse him of. So maybe after you talk to him, Agrippa, maybe you can come up with something to accuse him of. Anyways, we're going to leave that there. But, very, very briefly, we do have this very small Joseph Smith translation. And this is the last Joseph Smith translation in the book of Acts. This is in verse 17, where it says, therefore, when they were come hither, without any delay, on the morrow, I sat on the judgment seat, and commanded the man to be brought forth. This is corrected. Therefore, when they were come hither, without any delay, on the day following, I sat on the judgment seat, and commanded the man to be brought forth. Now, this is just a grammatical correction. But it's like, if If I was talking about, see, today I'm filming this on a Monday, and if I was going to say last Wednesday, I said I would do something on Thursday, the next day. I wouldn't say on Wednesday I said I'd do something tomorrow, because that would mean Tuesday. That would mean the day after today. But by saying instead of the day following, we understand him to mean the day after he said he would. It puts it all in the past instead of just the promise to do something is in the past and going to do it tomorrow, if you understand what I'm talking about. It's a change in the grammar, not change in meaning, though. That's the important thing to note. And we leave that here now. And we're going to pick this up in chapter 26 next, hear Paul's testimony to King Agrippa. So I will see you there.